Chat, let me tell you about my short stint dating on Bumble, okay? This is something that I have only told a few times to like a couple of my friends. And they're always like so fascinated by it. But I'm going to tell you guys about it now. It was like an experience. Like I learned a lot just from that. I downloaded Bumble because I was dating this guy. Okay, I was dating this guy for like more than a month. And this was like my first time dating someone in a very long time. Okay, it was my first time dating someone new in a very long time because I'd come from like a very long-term relationship, like several years, like more than 5 years long-term relationship. Okay, I did not know anything about dating because not only was that a very long-term relationship, it was my first serious relationship. As I told you yesterday, my parents did not allow me to date in high school. I started dating my ex when I was in college. So he was my first serious relationship. Okay. And when I'd broken up from that and I was like dating again, or I tried dating again, that was my first experience ever. I didn't know jack shit, okay? I didn't know jack shit about dating. I didn't even know how to read signals. I didn't even realize until the moment itself that Netflix and chill was happening. The guy invited me to watch Netflix and I was like, oh yeah, sure. I like K-dramas or like I like anime. So let's go watch Netflix. And then I realized like, wait a second. I was like, wait. I was that inexperienced and I was also like so oblivious to flirting signals. My friend brought me to this party where he had a lot of like friends and then like friends of friends and he was introducing me to them. There was a guy who talked to me like the entire night. My friend who brought me to the party, he was also talking to this guy. I was telling my friend after the night that, oh, that guy seemed pretty nice. I think it's really interesting that he was like talking to me the entire night. And then my friend was like, yeah, you should keep an eye out on that. So I talked to so this guy, like he messages me on my private Instagram. I have a personal Instagram and that's the Instagram that I give to people that I meet in real life. I don't want to give them like my Sevy plays Instagram, guys. I have a separate profile for like my personal life. We exchange Instagrams and then he messages me on that Instagram. And then he compliments my outfit that I posted on my story. And then he's like, do you want to go have a drink later in the week? I look at the message and I'm like, is this like what I think it is? Is this what people say nowadays? Is this is this how people ask people out these days? Like, is it a drink that we're going for? And the thing is, like, I wasn't entirely sure what to do because I vaguely recalled this guy saying that he had a girlfriend. Okay, and so I was like, I replied to him. I was like, yeah, sure, I'm free that day, but you should bring your girlfriend so that I can meet her. And then he didn't reply. So, I ended up dating this guy for like over a month. Okay, and this is the Netflix and chill guy. For all intents and purposes, it was going well. He was nice. He was very gentlemanly. He was courteous, you know. He treated me pretty well. Things were like going okay, you know. But then he starts getting busy. He starts like messaging me less and less. He starts wanting to meet up less and less. There was a point when things were going well that we were talking like every day. And then a few weeks later, sometimes I wouldn't hear from him for several days. And whenever I'd hear from him again, he'd be like, oh yeah, I was really busy with this thing. Sorry, I couldn't reply. Or I was like really occupied with a thing. I was like in that state of questioning what was going on for like 2 weeks. I was so confused because this was the first person I'd really like dated since the breakup and I didn't know it was happening. When the too busy excuses start happening, exactly. I didn't know it was happening. And the thing is, I was like, I don't know if I should like talk to him about this, but I want to talk to him about it in person. But then he never gave me the time of day to meet up in person. I like asked my friends, and I asked my sister, and I asked my brother-in-law, like, is it over? I was like, is this it? Is it over? Do I stop here? And they were telling me, like, you guys never put a label on it. You know, even if you weren't dating anyone else while you were dating each other, you never put a label on it. You never said outright that you weren't gonna date anyone else. So you know what? Like, fuck it. Just go date someone else. Like, nothing's stopping you. If he's not gonna give you like the time of day to talk in person, then just it's not your problem. That's why online dating 80 to 90% never works. The thing is, this guy, the Netflix and chill guy, I met him in person. I didn't meet him online. I met him in person through mutual friends, actually. And the first few dates were fine. It was really cool. So yeah, I actually met this guy in person. And I started dating that guy. But eventually, yeah, the too busy, can't talk excuses started happening. I didn't talk to him for several days on end. And then eventually he was kind of just like too busy to talk. So when that happened, my friends told me, just go date. Like, it's over. It's at that point, it's nothing serious. If he really wants to like date you, then you'd know, you know? You wouldn't be left questioning. So I downloaded Bumble. I set up my profile. Okay, I put really nice photos on it. I did all the do's of making a nice dating profile. I put like half body picture. I put a full body picture. I took like a selfie. I put a picture of me doing something interesting. I put a picture of my pets as like a conversation starter. I had a really nice profile, okay? If I do say so myself. So I started using Bumble, and I realized that on the free version, you run out of profiles to look at pretty fast, and also 90% of the guys' profiles were shit, guys. Like, they don't put any effort in that. It's just like a really bad mirror selfie, their name, their age, and their location. I can understand if you make a dating profile just to get some or just to find like a friend with benefits, but even then, I don't know anyone who would be attracted to a shitty mirror selfie. And the mirror selfies they wouldn't even show off a whole lot. It would show off like bedhead, and then that's it. You know, they weren't even showing off like physique. They weren't even showing off like fashion sense. They weren't even showing off like their face. It would just be like mirror selfie and like terrible flash. And it's just like overall a stupid photo. Like, at that point, why even try? So like that was 90% of the guys' profiles. And the thing is, like, the funny thing was, I put my preferences on, for a while I put my preferences on both men and women. Holy crap. The difference. The women's profiles were so nice. The effort, guys, the photos, so attractive, so good. Okay? And I was floored. I was like, if only I were more gay. If only I were more gay. It's like that Sabrina Carpenter song called Slim Pickens, where she's like, God missed my gay awakening. I really persevered because I fucking paid for Bumble Premium for a month. I was like, you know what? If I'm gonna try online dating, if I'm gonna try a dating app, I'll at least go in hard, you know? I'll go in hard, I'll try my best, I'll exhaust every possibility. I paid for Bumble Premium for a month. Okay, so what does Bumble Premium do? It lets you look at the people who liked you, not just the people who matched you, okay? It lets you look at the people who swiped right on you, even if you didn't swipe on them, to see if you would like to swipe right on them. Basically, it's asking if you want to lower your standards just because these people found you attractive, okay? It also lets you refresh the stack of profiles you can swipe through. And it lets you restart conversations that expired because neither of you chatted each other. It also lets you undo a swipe left. Why does it sound like LinkedIn Premium? What the hell? What do you mean it sounds like LinkedIn Premium? Okay, so my dating profile, I put looking for fun casual dates, nothing serious, friends. I wasn't looking for any commitment because that one guy that I tried to date solely, like at a time, ended up disappointing me. So at that point, I wasn't looking to commit to anything. I just wanted to have fun. I just wanted to like meet people. My friends told me, use your single era to figure out what you want. And so in my head, I was like, okay, maybe I'll figure out what I want if I go on dates and then I get like the ick from something and I know that I don't want that. I see something that maybe my date will do and I'll be like, okay, I do like that. Maybe the more I expose myself to this dating environment, the more I will learn, because I'd been out of the dating pool forever. In fact, I'd never been in the dating pool. That was my logic going into the dating app. I basically just wanted to figure out what I liked and didn't like through exposure, like exposure therapy or something like that. Here's what I did to stick to the casual dates only, or like nothing serious. I swiped right on a lot of people, but the ones that I would talk to were tourists, because in my head, they are the ultimate casual date because they are only passing through. They just want to meet people. They just want to have fun. I also just want to have fun. If that person leaves, like after a week, not my problem anymore. Like I never have to speak to that person again. I also swiped on a lot of Filipino guys. I swiped on a lot of people that were kind of near me, people that were kind of farther from me. But then the ones that I considered actually meeting up in person more heavily were the tourists, because it was like ultimate non-commitment. I did get to go on a handful of dates. They were decent. Like they were all right. One of the tourists, he was actually a tourist. And I actually ended up going on a date with him twice. And here's the thing. I never told them that I was a content creator. I always told them I was a video editor. I kind of stuck to that because I didn't want to like make a big deal. I didn't want it to turn into this whole thing. I didn't want them to search me online. So this one guy, like I did end up going on 2 dates with him. This guy, he was really funny. He was flirting with me a lot, but he was very like nice about it. He was just telling me up front that like he found me attractive. And even though he's like flirting with me, like just if I feel uncomfortable, all I have to do is tell him and he'll stop or he'll slow down. He was very nice, like thankfully. And then he eventually asked me like what I'm looking for in dating. And I told him that I was kind of just like looking to date around and to explore like what I liked and didn't like. He asked me, okay, why? And then I told him that I'd come from a breakup of a relationship of many years, and it was my first relationship. And he looked at me and he was like, oh honey. And then he started giving me tips on how to date around. He was like, if you're going to do this, do it safely. Always ask for an STD test. Which, to be fair, is really good advice. I asked him if he had an STD test. He said that he always carries one around. He always carries one around, and he said that he always does it monthly. He's an expert. Yeah, he's an expert, basically. He was like, always be upfront about what contraceptive you want. Always be upfront about your limitations and your boundaries. Like, always communicate. Make sure you know your limitations and boundaries, like, before going into a date or a potential hookup or something like that. Like, he started... Guys, this guy was the real Bumble guide maker, okay? He was giving me that information. It was over a date in Mary Grace. He actually was really great in that regard. That dynamic with the guy kind of just ended there. I wasn't ready to like do anything more than that, to be honest, but I really appreciated him. Your contraceptive is playing Genshin Impact. Another guy that I went on a date with, he seemed like a tourist, but he was actually like on business here for several months. And when I found that out, I was like, damn. I was like, I kind of wish he were just passing through. Another guy that I went on a date with, it was very casual because this guy was also in a polyamorous relationship, an ethical non-monogamous relationship. And at the end of that date, I met the guy's girlfriend. And honestly, his girlfriend was really cool. Like, the guy was nice, but the girl was really cool. It was a really interesting experience. It did say on his profile that he was poly. Did these take place within many years? No, guys, this all happened in 2025. It was during my break. Yeah, guys, what did you think I spent my break doing? No, I'm kidding. So it said up front on the guy's profile that he was polyamorous. I had no problem with that because I wasn't looking for anything serious. Okay. So I went on the date and then he was a cool guy. Then I met his girlfriend and I was like, oh, she's cool too. Here's the cringe part. I received in my Bumble inbox one day a message that said, "Hi, excuse me, sorry to ask this, but are you Sevy Plays?" Guys, I didn't even have Sevy as the name on my profile. I knew that it was a possibility because I do use my face, okay? And it was my face on my profile, but I still was not ready for it to happen. I didn't reply. I don't even know what I was supposed to reply to that because I didn't want to like straight up lie and say no, I'm not. I also didn't want to say yes because that's just like people will start going around and be like, oh my god, Sevy Plays is on Bumble. Oh my goodness. What do I even reply to that? It was probably one of my worst fears. Hopping on a public dating app is probably one of my worst fears come true. Guys, if you ever see like a content creator that you know on a dating app, do not ask them if they're that content creator. If you know that they're that content creator, you can keep it to yourself. Content creator will not blame you if you keep it to yourself. How long did it take before someone messaged that? I'd say maybe after a few days of being on the app. Maybe they wanted to borrow my account. Oh my god, maybe. Out of them, my favorite was probably the first guy who gave me the dating rundown because, like, respect, man. Respect. Thank you for teaching me those tips. Guide maker voice. Okay. 1 month guy recently phased out of the meta. With growing changes in the dating scene, this video was made in collaboration with Bumble Guide Maker. But first, a word from our sponsors, Polyamory Guy. Thank you for using the redeem. New series, Bumble Dates tier list. I did not pay for another month on Bumble. I was tired after that 1 month. I was like, this is too much. I can't anymore. It was exhausting. I definitely commend anyone who actually finds like lasting relationships through dating apps because that shit takes effort. Bumble isn't free. There's a free version. I paid for the premium version for a month. Before I went on the app and before I started dating 1 month guy, I went to bars. Aside from not being allowed to date when I was in high school, I was also pretty much not allowed to go to bars when I was in college. And I couldn't eventually go to bars anyway because of the pandemic. So I never really had like the party bar experience. A lot of people get that in college or even late high school, if depending on the legal drinking age where you are. I didn't get any of that. To be honest, it was like I was trying to do all the college things I never got to do. I tried to do all those things I never got to do when I was in college. I practiced talking to people in a bar, like starting a conversation with people that I did not know. And it was probably one of the hardest things I learned how to do, but I'm so glad I kind of learned how to do it. First of all, always bring a friend. I have a friend who doesn't drink, so he was my designated responsible friend. Thankfully, this friend was also super extroverted. I'd be like, friend, can you like teach me how to be extroverted also and talk to people? And then he was like, okay, so what you should do, what I want you to do, he told me this, what I want you to do, go up to the bar, look at the menu, ask one of the people who is not in a conversation or who's just like drinking by themselves, ask him what they recommend on the menu. It's solid advice, guys. It's solid advice. I did exactly that. I went up to the bar. I looked at the menu. I talk to the person next to me because he was drinking alone. I asked him, like, what do you recommend? And then the bartender comes over, and then the bartender also comes and gives his recommendations. So instantly, I've struck up a conversation with 2 other people. And then I continued talking to that guy that I started talking to. Thankfully, this guy, I'm friends with him now. He's been a cool friend to hang out with at the bar. He told me about his fiance. I met his fiance, now wife. They are really, really fun people. His wife is so cool. She's hot and she's a doctor. It wasn't even like a flirty thing. I just made a friend. If you ever need a conversation starter, go do that. So it's pretty nice, like meeting friends and making friends that way. There are a lot of ways to make friends, like through mutual friends, through bar conversation or going to parties. And I have like gone to, in my time on my break, I did go to like a few parties, the type of parties that I never would have gone to before. Friends to lovers is ideal. No, friends to lovers is ideal. I agree. Because like it's really weird. Like having had that experience with 1 month guy, I kind of realized it's really hard to like date someone without really a strong foundation. Because it's like you're dating a stranger. And like I learned a lot about that guy, and we were like quite, nice to each other. But it's like, it's very different. There you go. That's the dating lore. That's how that era of my life went, chat. I learned a lot. When Sevy said she's hot, you thought Sevy was about to rizz them both. I wish I had that much rizz, but unfortunately, I was but a baby in the rizz department. I don't have a lot of that. I think that my rizz appeal comes in my nerdiness, because the guy that gave me the dating guide rundown over those 2 dates, he said that the cutest and most attractive thing about me was when I would nerd out about Lord of the Rings. So I think that that's my appeal, guys. I have the she's a cute nerd girl appeal. Okay? It's nerd rizz. I can tell you about the Silmarillion and the history of the Second Age and the Third Age of Lord of the Rings. To some people, that's pretty attractive. It's a good strat if you know how to rock it. Oh, I know how to rock it, guys. I may be rizzless in most other departments, but I've learned to use my nerd rizz. Can you learn from me how to rizz girls? This is how you rizz girls. You be attentive to them without being creepy. If you want to pour them water. I really appreciate it when a guy offers to pour water. It can start with the little kind of innocuous things. Offering water or offering a seat. If you have an ability to come across like really friendly, you can offer to buy someone a drink at a bar, but usually if the girl is shy or a little inexperienced, they will say no, because among girls, it's kind of like understood girl code not to accept drinks from strangers. Like, that's kind of a shaky ground to stand on. You can, also act interested, and hopefully you are actually interested in what the girl is talking about, if they are talking to you. And then you can ask things like, oh, when did you start being interested in this? Or like, what's your favorite that? Or, I don't know much about this topic, but I'd love to hear more about it. It's being attentive, it's being curious, and then it's just being very kind overall, okay? One thing that girls value over almost everything else is that they feel safe when they're around you. It's like the #1 green flag. Can you make a girl feel safe around you? Okay, and if that's like switching sides when you're walking on the sidewalk and then switching sides so that you're the one closer to the cars than her, there's that, if it's offering to help her carry her stuff, the little things like that. Is this a dating meta right now? Yes, guys, this is the true dating guide. Safety is the new meta, exactly. It's like, in this day and age, like, I don't think girls are really going to expect that you get them flowers every so often. It's a good gesture, once you have established, like, or communicated that feeling or that interest. But I think personally, until then, you just want to establish, like, a good dynamic between you. Like, you can listen to her. You can be around her. You're interested in her. You're interested in what she has to say. Those are like some of the most important things. Now tell us how to rizz guys. I'm not sure. Like what I've found that helps with rizzing guys is that you guys, I told you I don't have rizz aside from nerd rizz, okay? I only have nerd rizz. That's my only buff. Everything else I think is debuffed. Compliments are definitely nice. Be like, "Oh, I like your shirt," or I like your outfit. It depends, I think, because if the guy has initiated the conversation and you want to rizz the guy, then you basically have to match their energy. I think that when it comes to flirting or when it comes to rizzing, the most important thing is matching energy. Because if for some reason you're giving less energy, they can sense it. They can sense when you're not as interested in the conversation, or they can sense when you'd rather be somewhere else. They can sense when you're trying to get out of a conversation. If a guy who seems interested in you comes and starts a conversation and you're actually interested in them, then you basically just have to match their level of interest and energy. You have to like keep that going or keep that flowing, right? And if that part of the conversation runs dry, you just kind of have to get good at talking and get good at being interested as well in them, because guys also want to feel like you're interested in what they're talking about. They don't want to bore you. Guys also want to think that they're funny. Up for debate whether they are or not, but they want to. It's really all about like matching energy. That's kind of how you start that flirty dynamic going. And then after, like once you've established that, like, okay, you kind of find each other fun to be around, then it gets a lot easier from there. You just ask straight away if they want to hang out or date, but before that you have to have good friendship. Yeah, it is good to like establish a good friendship. So when you meet people, it's about seeing whether or not they're fun to be around. And then maybe don't think about dating right away. Just like think about hanging out with them and then see what else you enjoy about being around them. There was another time that I used my nerd rizz and I started talking about three-body problem. And then I basically tried to explain in physics and math terms what the three-body problem was. And then the guy just looked very fascinated. And they were like, oh my gosh, I wish I were around people who could explain things like you more often. And I was like, wow, that's actually a nice compliment. If you ever want to impress someone, just talk about a random fact.